Alrighty, I think we are good to go. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's Saturday, February 16th, and today we are going to be watching Illinois Tech Esports League of Legends Division 1 team take on Kent State University as they're taking part in the Collegiate League of Legends North Conference. So we are moving now on to week 4. And as we're following our Hawks, they are now at a 2-1 record. So it's especially important for today's game to have them be able to win in order to have them continue to move on through the Collegiate League of Legends group stage. And so the requirement for teams to move on past that is that they can only move on if they have a 6-0 or a 5-1 record. So this week is particularly important for the Hawks now, as they had faced their first loss in the season last week against RMU. So let's get started, taking a quick look at the roster for today. Today we have the Division 1 team with Theo, Narel, and Shrimp in the top lane, GB, Diop, Draco, Legiendo in the jungle, Ren, Wu, Rainamar in the mid lane, and Snowdown Arcade and the Protector in the bot lane. Taking a quick look at Theo, he is a grad student studying computer science and engineering, finishing Season 8 Diamond, all the way from Paris, France, having 1 pentakill Season 8, and his fun fact is he is a ModernLegacy abuser, so going to be interesting to see if Kent State's going to be lining up any bans for him. Moving on to GB Diop, Draco Legiendo. He is a first-year Information Technology Management major from Atlanta, Georgia, finishing Season 8 Diamond. His fun fact, Blade and Soul Pro. We've got Peng, also known as Ren Wu Ranamar, third-year Electrical Engineering, finishing Season 8 Diamond as well, from Chicago, Illinois. Plays a pretty high variety of AD and AP champs from the looks of it. Casey Weisfuss, Illinois Tech ADC, starting on Arcade, a second-year biology major from Tinley Park, Illinois, finishing Season 8 Diamond, 2 pentakills Season 8, and fun fact is to feel free to follow him on his Twitch channel. Last, we've got Evan Ferris, the Protector, a third-year computer science, also finishing Season 8 Diamond from Lombard, Illinois. His fun fact, Gonzalez Wi-Fi is inting me. So, moving on then, I think we are just waiting for the official start time of 3 o'clock before these teams get going. Looking at Kent State's lineup, seems to, I believe Illinois Tech is this year in the North Conference seated at 22. The Kent State ranked seated at 38. I don't know what their logo is. I feel like it's an owl. I should look it up. Mascot. It's Flash the Golden Eagle. Alrighty, so Eagle versus Hawks. It's another Eagles versus Hawks matchup. So as we're waiting for everyone to get the games going, for those that are watching here in the first time, I guess I can talk a little bit about Illinois Tech Esports while I wait. This is the collegiate esports organization in the here in the South Loop, Chicago, on our Illinois Tech campus. And so here we promote a bunch of different esports titles: Rocket League, CS:GO, Overwatch, League here, Rainbow Six Siege. And these players, they dedicate a lot of their time during the week for practices. They dedicate their weekend afternoons like this today to be playing these competitive matchups, and it's really exciting to just see how they've progressed as a team moving on throughout the fall to spring semester. So one of the great things about the field I see is that a lot of these students, there's a lot of different motivations that they have when they play together. Some of them do it because some collegiate programs offer scholarships. Others do it because it's a group of friends. Then you've got some players that wanting to be looking at going professional for sure. And you've let's see, I think here at Illinois Tech, one of the cool things is that the staffing that's available that we have, it's not only just players managing players. We have dedicated coaching staff for a couple of our teams that are composed of students, but they also, their job is to help manage the players to make sure they keep them in check in game, keeping their toxicity levels at a at an acceptable rate, and you know, finding scrim partners, going over VOD reviews, all of those kind of things that you would see typical in just a professional esports org. So trying to emulate that here into college atmospheres, giving really good opportunities for these players to develop those team building skills, communication skills that they're going to use in whatever career that they go forward with. So I believe I will be the only one casting for today for Kent State. Maybe I should twitch.tv/. Or I won't plug it. I'm sure they're figuring it out on their own. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see what happens for today's match. I think that these teams have scrimmed in the past. Illinois Tech coming out on top earlier back then, but anything can change. These teams seem to be pretty evenly matched, I believe. So it's going to be an exciting game to see. But until then, I guess we'll go on a short break until we go into the pick ban phase. Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. We have just started the pick ban phase, so keeping in mind Illinois Tech here will be on the blue side for game one. Kent State will be on red. So seeing out the first couple of bans, we've got Illinois Tech taking out the Morgana, expecting to see that in the bot lane support kind of thing. Rumble being taken away here in the top lane focused against Nairellen. Uh, I haven't been playing League in a while, so I don't know too much about what's been on with the patches, but I've been told that there's been a lot of drama going on recently with like the Frostfang equipment that's been going on for passive gold. Um, from what I'm aware, they removed that for the LCS, so but I don't know if that's been implemented for here in today's games. So I'm not sure if those teams are going to adapt to that, though. Of course, it's just speculation at this point. You know, from what I've seen a lot with these collegiate fights, is like people just normally just do their standard, you know, standard builds, standard items, just not really adjusting themselves to like those kind of unique team compositions that you see in the pro stage. But um, finishing it out, we've got the Lucian and Silas band here for IIT, and the Nocturne and Mordekaiser. So two bands there focused there towards Nairellen as they try to seem to be focusing him to be playing maybe a more traditional tank top champion. But looking with Illinois Tech at the first pick, we see the Nami coming out for the Protector, and so with starting, that's relatively safe pick for the support. Um, but interestingly, KSU kind of goes back with the Leona, so already we're kind of looking at KSU looking at that level 2 advantage. Leona with her EQ combo, it's pretty deadly. Add it on top of an Aftershock and an Ignite, you could definitely show your lane dominance pre-level 3. So going to be especially important to make sure that IIT is going to be able to handle that. The Xayah being picked out for KSU's bot lane here for the delivery man. Not too many comments on that. I don't think that she's been changed at all so far with the patches. I should really read my patch notes more often. But here on Illinois Tech side, we see the Lee Sin coming out here for IIT for Draco Legendo in the jungle. Lee Sin with his relatively fast clear, we could definitely be expecting a level 3 gank in the top lane fairly quickly, especially with them, with IIT starting on the blue side. Interestingly, we got the Vayne coming out now for IIT. Now, not gonna give any spoilers, but I know that the team has been talking about that pick for a while, so I'm hoping to see that they're going to be able to get some solid practice with her here. The last champ coming out for KSU will be the Nunu, expecting to see that jungle or top lane, but okay, as we're going now into the second round of bans, we have the Heimerdinger taken out for KSU, so that's again three top champs for KSU, and then IIT here taking out the Echo mid, I'm assuming, there, and going to be interesting to see what KSU's last ban, if it's going to be another top laner, and it is going to be the Urgot, interestingly enough, so going to be keeping that in mind. IIT now on their last ban. We have already the kind of bot lane and jungle likely determined, so likely a mid champ focused. No, in this case, we're actually going to be seeing the Darius ban coming out. And so that will be taken out from the top lane. Going to be seeing what IIT now having their mid and top lane champs left to pick. The Swain coming out here for KSU, likely going to be put into the mid lane. And so IIT here will now have to finish their final two champs. The Alawi being hovered right now, kind to be expected. One of Nairellen's top 5 champs, I believe that he was playing for season 8 ranked. And as we're kind of approaching the last seconds, we're gonna likely be seeing that one locked in, and so Protector will have to finish it up here for IIT with the mid lane pick. Uh, One of the cool things about here with the Collegiate League of Legends is that all of these players that are playing in this conference for these varsity Division 1 teams, whatever you want to call them, for each respective school, is that they are actually able to work along with Riot to get the League of Legends unlocked accounts, so they have all access to every single champion that's available in the game, which is great. And so it really helps along with like certain players. They spend all of their IP on, I don't know, like they just don't bother grinding out for blue essence to buy out all their champs and whatnot, so they might not have all the champs. So this kind of alleviates that problem. But we're going to be seeing the last pick for IIT come here with the Lissandra mid lane. And then for the top lane, KSU had went with the Irelia. Definitely an insanely strong top lane. That's literally all I see from League of Legends highlight videos. People just smashing it with her up there. So going to be important for Nairelin to be able to hold out on his own. We're going to be taking over to the game quickly, but we have to allow for the 3-minute delay to happen. So when that 3-minute delay, we're just going to go to a quick break, and then we'll come back in the last minute or so as we wait for the countdown to finish itself off. So we'll be back shortly. Thanks. Alright, as we're approaching the final few seconds, we are going to be getting ourselves into the game just in a bit as the spectate delay has finished counting down. Going to be an exciting matchup, seeing what IIT has to offer here for week 4 as the Hawks take on the KSU Eagles. Ironically, this is the second week that we have been playing against Eagles because RMU also has that mascot as well. Taking a quick look at what we have here with the blue side, we've got Nairelin with the Flash Ignite, the TP coming out for the Lissandra. I like that Ignite from the Nami. But, you know, it's going to be important to make sure that doesn't bite them back in the butt. Having Exhaust against a dive tank composition isn't as bad. I usually go for the more passive approach with it. But, going to be seeing how they combat against KSU's team with the Irelia, with the Ignite as well. Respect the Cleanse coming out here for the Swain, and Ignite here for Leona as well with that Aftershock. So, KSU with the skin advantage here. I swear this Bilgewater Swain actually looks like Silas or something like straight out of a comic book. It does not look like Swain at all. But we're going to be getting ourselves here onto the Rift now. And so again, for those just tuning in, this is week 4 for the Hawks as they are participating in the Collegiate League of Legends North Conference, taking on Kent State here. So we're getting ourselves onto the Rift. Good luck, have fun's coming out into the chat. Keeping ourselves in mind as the IIT starts to head out the gates. Looking like we're seeing a pretty traditional 5-man approach from KSU as they have all of their access points covered. IIT, meanwhile, taking their time here, chilling out by the red buff. So, you know, one of the things that we're going to have to be especially important is that Vayne's early game has always been traditionally atrocious. So, especially with that level 2, if IIT's caught in a bad place, she will be in that pickle. Lee Sin throwing out a couple of Qs. KSU's got the drift of it. They're pinging it. They know he's around that area. If Lee Sin throws out one more, they'll know he's probably going to be starting red. But as we're taking it up, KSU going with some defensive warding already, going to be keeping an eye out for any Lee Sin potential invades. Not too much to worry about though. Nunu essentially has a double smite with his bite and his smite. But as we're getting ourselves started with the red buff spawning, IIT going to be helping them out as KSU's going here out for the blue. Good friend Nami helping out with those Ws. And we're going to be seeing both junglers clear out their camps pretty much at the same time. And as the bot lane finally gets themselves acquainted here, pretty standard start. Vayne getting a little nice bit of damage there as they're pushing themselves right up to the front. IIT kind of winning out that trade, in my opinion. Keeping ourselves in mind, Draco here finishing off the Scuttlers, so going in instead for the level 2 just right after the red buff. Now going into the top lane for the first invade, so going to be running into that Nunu pretty quickly, but Nunu going to be a little bit stronger here, I believe. But as we're going to be seeing themselves clear each other's camps quickly, it's going to be important to see as they finally meet each other face to face, and we might be seeing a first blood here. One more auto could do it. The smite coming out for the Nunu in favor of it. Going to be forcing the flash out. Nunu going to be going to be able to help himself out with that buff in the end. But the ping's coming out. A nice flash is going to do it with one more auto for it. Just enough, but it's not going to actually be enough to be taking it out the Nunu for the first blood, but the Draco's still eyeing himself for it. He's not, unfortunately, going to have that range, but good on him to be able to kind of push the Nunu out of his jungle. But as we're taking a quick look here at the mid lane, Lissandra doing her bestest to keep herself, but we're looking at the first blood possibly here in the top lane. Both Ignites coming out for both KSU and IIT, but looks like it really coming out just a little bit ahead. Lee Sin here on his way, but he is going to be spotted by that red ward the second he approaches. The ping's coming out now. A nice W coming here to help it out, and IIT will be able to secure that first blood. Thankfully, with the Lee Sin W here to help out a little bit. The E from Leona not connecting, unfortunately. IIT going in for a little bit of poke, and they're able to kind of chunk that Xayah down to half health as she's forced to not use a pot yet with the Doran shield, so she'll have a little bit of extra sustain there. Nunu, meanwhile, as that top lane skirmish was going on, taking the share of his jungle invade with the Krugs, pinging that Tribush, seeing if he's going to be having any potential for IIT to not get the lead on them. But that snowball's coming in. The flash Q is going to actually capture them. The W coming out from Nami, Vayne will survive just barely, and forcing multiple flashes there for KSU, both in their ADC and in their support. IIT, they're able to win out the trade just barely. So, Nunu, with that knowledge, IIT, Lee Sin's just going to be farming up his blue jungle safely, as he was kind of all over in Nunu's red, taking the Krugs earlier. We're seeing another little skirmish happen here with Irelia taking the advantage, I believe, here, as she does wind up that 1v1 matchup, and that's unfortunate there for the Scarlet Hawk still. But the Lee Sin coming in now to see what he can do, getting another stun on there, getting a decent amount of damage, but looking like we're going to be able to have the Lee Sin able to capitalize on that, help out Nearellen there a little bit. Taking a quick look at the mid lane again. I usually always pass over because Raynamar just always is so consistent that I know that he'll be just fine. I never have to comment too much on it. But meanwhile, again, Lee Sin showing himself top. Nunu going to be snagging himself the first dragon of the game here with the Cloud. Slowly but surely, but he's going to have to sustain eventually. IIT, neither bot lanes have gone with their first back yet. Vayne, after that initial dive, still able to be relatively healthy, popping out that pot. The finally pretty close one there. If Lee Sin had been there any earlier with that information, could have definitely been pretty crucial. But Lee Sin coming out here, going to be spotted out by a red ward from in the Tribush. IIT, not really taking any action on that as they have had this lane pushed up. The red ward finally expiring though here, so Lee Sin, after finishing his cross, could be looking for another gank potentially, and IIT is aware of that, seeing that they did have a ward up here, so they'll see it expire. Going to be important to see how these junglers are going to be helping out their lanes, as we are already seeing Lee Sin with a bit of shutdown gold there. Bounty, excuse me, not shutdown. But we are seeing the Lee Sin loop himself around slowly. IIT looking, trying to play out the passive game, but we are seeing the first game coming, getting a nice Q onto the Xayah, but the stun will help out. The flash from the Nami actually not going to be able to connect. And I believe that the Nami was just a little bit too far for that. Normally in those kind of gank scenarios, I usually like to bait it out with Nami, because if the Leona just goes on me, I just bubble myself on top and flash out, but forcing their bot lane to come closer to me. But meanwhile, again, Lee Sin showing himself, KSU's jungler here being equally proactive, but not going to be able to find anything, as Lee Sin had finished out that camp down there on their blue side. Nunu going to be spotted out as he's clearing out this control ward. Lissandra going for the TP to get a little bit of a lane advantage to push up these minions, keeping in mind that Swain does not have it. So bot lane coming in back with their first back with the Berserk Greaves and a long sword there for the Vayne, some pots to sustain. KSU just completing their back, instead going for more AD focused build as is standard, so the Warhammer and pickaxe coming out there. Lee Sin just finishing up his red buff and Raptors, but he might be looking at a first back, but he is going to be spotted by that ward. Level 6 Lee Sin, a nice little kick there to push him right in front of the Lissandra ult. The cleanse also coming out. Going to be taking the Lee Sin really close, could be looking at that kill, and that red buff is not going to be helping out, forcing the Lissandra to flash out here as well. So Swain doing a good job of keeping himself alive in that fight. IIT pushing their limit there, unfortunately. So the KSU Eagles here fighting back just a bit. Looking here in the bot lane again, getting the eternal push here with the Xayah and Leona, and as that's kind of expected, IIT probably going to be looking to try to keep their Vayne just sustained herself for the late game to be able to chunk down those tanks. The Ninja Tabby coming out from the Irelia, interestingly enough. But I really want to make sure that we're going to keep our eyes on Nairelin. I don't want to see the 1v1 matchups being lost so convincingly again. But taking a quick look at the CS advantages, pretty even all throughout, honestly. Um, a nice ward there by Lissandra to see when that new game could potentially come in from the top side. The bot lane here, again, being pushed in with the waves. But primarily, I'm pretty sure that this game we're going to be seeing a lot of the action going to be depending on the rotations of their junglers, for this early game, especially because Vayne will not be able to look for any quick advantages. A nice little 3 stack right there to help Vayne out there, push the annoy the Sivir just as much as she can, but keeping ourselves in mind that turret plating still exists in this game. So, for those that aren't aware, the way that it works is that as the laners are able to chunk their towers lower and lower, these little ticks, if they're able to get it down a certain amount of health, it actually awards them a little bit of gold. So, IIT though, finally facing their first fight here with a full clear onto the Nami. The flash coming out here for the Leona is going to be taking it really low to forcing the Lee Sin to do a little bit of an insect there. Unfortunately, the Swain himself coming down there, the pings coming out from IIT's mid laner as they are aware of it, but big sacrifices being made there for IIT in order to just try to get that Vayne that kill. Unfortunately, the Nami taking the huge brunt of that with the ult on top and the ignite being used as well. So the Rift Herald, though, meanwhile, again, Nunu's taking advantage of the Lee Sin's presence, going to be taking himself a piece of that blue and that Rift Herald to continue to push on KSU's lane advantage. But we're seeing another little skirmish here happen onto the mid lane. Swain landing a decent amount of damage there onto the Lissandra. Nami here going to be moving herself up to ward, but she's going to be caught in a little bit of a pickle if she gets caught. The Leona is going to be catching her out. Swain pings coming out from there, but Leona's not going to have to ult for it, so she'll be hopefully able to get out just fine. No flash on her, unfortunately. And just barely makes it out. That definitely was a close one. Protector's heart was probably going at the 120 BPMs right there, but meanwhile, actually, taking a quick look rewind at the top lane fight here. So Lee Sin trying to see if he could spot out that Nunu, but going for the fight anyway. Gets landed with the stun and just gets bursted, but a nice flash from the Nami takes her out as well. Gets her out safely and takes out the Lee Sin, unfortunately. Excuse me. The flash coming in from the Xayah in order to just do what she can to avoid, but unfortunately, Vayne's going to be following her right up. So good on them to press their advantage. So a lot of fighting going on both sides. I like to see it, but the Rift Herald going to be used here for KSU as they're sending their sights for this first tower here in the top lane. No TPs on Nairelin is going to not help him be able to get back, and this is where, the summoner spells is not really working out in favor, in my opinion. But we're going to be seeing her finally be able to come back to lane safely. The top turret with just over 1,000 health remaining. IIT, though, two kills on the Vayne's definitely going to be helping them out as she comes back with the Bilgewater and the Longbow. So going for the Bork for the first item. Essence Reaver already completed though for the Xayah, so going to be with a nice little CS advantage there as well. I like to see it, despite the 2 kills that the Alawi, God, I can't remember my champ names for some reason, but going to be able to keep herself relatively even in terms of CS. But we're seeing KSU do their due diligence in clearing out division. Nami going to be running right into a Nunu, but the hold on, why it's the dive coming in for them, but it's going to be just taking it out. But the ignite and the bite is actually going to help it out. The Nunu just escaped barely with his life. I'm gonna play that bubble was just very poorly done with I'm gonna call it lag. The Lee Sin showing himself here just to help clear out the lane safely. We're looking at another 1v1, but I don't think that Nairellen's going to win out on that, unfortunately, forcing himself to flash out preemptively. And no Ignite here is not going to be doing himself any favors either, but trying to keep himself alive, doing a little chunk of damage there to kind of return to favor. But now Nairellen look at his advantage, but without the flash, he won't be able to finish it off. So both laners kind of just exchanging blows by blows, but as they transition with KSU finishing up that dragon, Nunu going to be looking around, but they're coming around. IIT going to be skedaddled here into a corner here, unfortunately, and unfortunately I don't think the Lissandra had an E to get herself out safely, and that's unfortunate. With good roaming knowledge for KSU as they continue to press their advantage here in the early game. The Ignite available now for the Leona, as she could be looking for another 2v2 approach for a full-on fight. But the TP now coming out from Lissandra again, trying to see if she can hold on to this turret. About 600 health left, still will be able to hold on, but we're starting to see the first advantages being taken. But another 1v1 that just doesn't work in the Alawi's favor, and I'm still just not understanding why these fights are being taken. Is if it's just lack of confidence. But taking a quick look at this fight, yeah, just you're gonna go for 80 items, but then try to fight with taking in, yeah, just getting completely railed. I don't know why. There's no excuse for that. Forcing the Lee Sin to flash out there too is equally the top laner's fault in my opinion, but we're going to see the bot lane go for their first turret here successfully, and right after as well the top lane turret going to be falling down, putting the Lee Sin at a bit of a disadvantage. So with both lanes opened up, likely going to see if there's going to be any transitions for KSU. We're going to be seeing their bot lane keep themselves in the bot, but the Irelia are roaming mid just a bit now. The control ward going to be spotting out IIT. A nice bubble capturing the Nami, but that's not going to be doing any damage. The Eye of Ascension going to be on the Nami as well. That's keeping that in mind. But the looking like Leona's going to be going for the Aegis pretty soon. A nice little two-man bubble there to hold IIT at bay, but KSU looking to group themselves to continue on their advantage. And again, Div1 not having a lot of damage present is going to just let them take the last tier 1 turret for IIT. And again, KSU pushing their advantages where they can see them. So again, we saw 3 to 4 bans being placed on the IIT's top laner on Nairellen, isolating him on Alawi essentially. And then unfortunately with IIT's bot lane, not much that they can do against the kind of very dive comp with what KSU's got lined up. So doing what they can though, as IIT continues to fight valiantly on now as we kind of transition ourselves into the mid game. Now with about 17 minutes in, a decent 4.5k gold lead there for 4k gold lead for KSU. And good on IIT to still be holding on with like a relative CS edge. They're still keeping themselves even, and if IIT is going to be able to get themselves with those team fights that they need for some of those gold bounties, that'll definitely be able to keep themselves in the game. But doing a quick scan of division control, KSU still holding on with a lot of control wards inside the pit, making IIT having to be especially careful. But as we're looking at the first fight, the stun actually going to be coming out, forcing the Alawi to go for a 1v2 situation, and looking like she might actually come out on top. Well played from KSU there, as a lot of IIT's abilities not really landing or doing any favors, but the Xayah and Vayne going to be meeting each other as you're looking at the 1v1, but Lissandra trying to see what she could do, but unfortunately not able to win out the fight. And that's going to be 3 bounties now on KSU's side, as the Alawi is going to continue to be bullied into the lane. Swain, meanwhile, instantly capitalizing on the lack of mid lane presence to continue pushing KSU's advantage as they're looking towards the tier 2 bot lane. IIT's members pretty spread out though, so a big wave here, pushing here for the mid lane. Swain gonna see if he's gonna commit himself for this. Just gonna be, unfortunately, a couple of more autos until that one falls eventually, but IIT getting caught again, I believe, from Vision. Looks like it. Yeah, the Nami just going herself right inside. Gonna be forcing herself out in a corner. Again, the lack of vision, nothing here is not going to keep their vision onto the Leona, and getting another kill for Zaya, not helping out IIT's case here, unfortunately. We're seeing another dragon spawn here. Nunu here reliably taking it on his own, and that will be 2 Ocean Drakes there to continue to sustain. The dive here unsuccessful for KSU as they're actually able to get a decent amount of kills. The nice stopwatch there to hold themselves, but the flash coming in from Vayne as she looks for that 1v1. IIT ready to still fight. Good on them to press their advantage as KSU selfishly looked for the play. Actually going to rewind that just a bit to watch it how it progressed. So the ping is coming out, likely Leona trying to see if she could just bully that Vayne as she's attempting more soul to feast on, but a nice setup from IIT, commits themselves with that dive, able to save herself with that stopwatch, thankfully. Nice little flash there too from the Vayne. Lee Sin just barely escaping. But in the meanwhile, Alawi here facing a little bit of trouble as she's going to be continuously harassed. A little Nami wave though, not going to be able to help out in the end. That doesn't do healing, unfortunately. IIT pinging for the Baron though. I like to see the aggression, but a 2-man Baron might be dangerous for them. I don't think they're going to have the health for it unless they preemptively smite. But the Lissandra roaming herself in, it's going to be close, but the sightseeing, the control, this trinket lens is going to finally actually catch them out and hold themselves off. But the Swain here, unfortunately, not going to be able to help out. Leona putting Nami putting her bubble a little bit too early, unable to get to Leona. KSU reestablishes the vision control that they need, and not having to sacrifice too much, unfortunately, for that. So we're going to be making to one of... Ooh. Okay, so one of the big things with these control words is that if you can place it on like just the edge of the bush, it will actually capture this control word. So small tidbit there. But as we're looking at Baron control here, KSU seems to be on the advantage. Again, Nairelin here without the TP is not going to be able to assist his teammates whatsoever. Seeing pace coming out as KSU is finally going to be starting this, and this will be a 5v4 fight. But I don't think they're going to be able to go for it. A Q being able to land on it, but a lot of the CC already kind of lost. No wave on the Nami going to pushing her wave on, trying to see what she can get down. The Leona as they try to force herself as low as possible. Getting kills there as they trade out for ADCs. A flash from the Leona going to be able to, unfortunately, fall down finally. But Irelia here finally here to clean herself up. IIT just trying to get what they can at this point, but continuing to delay KSU what they can as Theo Nairelin finishes off the top lane turret. You know, honestly, if IIT was just able to get one more champ away, they might have been able to provide a little bit more harass. But the Ocean Drake is going to be continuing doing a lot of sustaining for them, and the control ward also going to be helping out as they're not able to see what's going on. But the Lissandra having to eat herself out finally in the end, as KSU is able to secure the Baron, and Nairelin meanwhile trying to chunk down the towers as much as she can on the Alawi, but only able to get themselves around halfway done. KSU maintaining a decent amount of gold advantage. Nairelin here going really aggressively for this Gromp. Hopefully does not get caught out. Doesn't have flash either, actually. So if he greets for this wave, and they... Okay, so KSU not going to be collapsing on it yet, from the looks of it. Oh, I take it back. Nope, that Nami's fast. The Cloud Drake helping her out in a pinch. Forcing herself, missing the pull, actually. and going to be just chunked down straight up here. But IIT going to try to see if they can look for the fight here. A nice little kick there and a smite. Going to be able to finally secure it. Nice play there for IIT to give Irelia the false impression that you can 1v1. Nah, Lee Sin's here. But meanwhile, IIT though going to have to be kind of isolating themselves here as they're kind of able to take this lane 2 tier 2 turret, in the mid lane easily enough. Both sides pressing on their advantages with the map awareness on who those skirmishes are, who's available on the map. Both sides playing it out really well. KSU putting a little bit of vision all around here. Nice amount of control wards here inside their IIT's red jungle. Nunu here with a slight level advantage here. Going to be maybe important as we're going to be looking at another dragon respawning. This is going to be the Cloud Drake, the 4th dragon of the game. So could be that Nunu would have smite advantage here. Plus his bite. Again, you got to think of it like 2 smites at that point. Let's see. IIT's ADCs keeping himself up with the KSU's marksman. But the Nami just a little bit behind in terms of levels, to be expected. But KSU here with IIT with a lot of vision to clear out is likely going to be unmatched in terms of taking the dragon. But the pings coming out from KSU looks like they're setting their sights on the bot with their wave pushing in. IIT with a matching wave, going to be going for the 5-man turrets, and actually they'll be able to take these turrets faster because Saya's damage is not present for this stuff. But the first backs are coming in here as we're going to be seeing it, but KSU are going to end up winning that trade, unfortunately, because they've got looking at the inhib, and the backs are not in succession for IIT. So the Alawi pushing herself all the way up to the front, but not going to be doing a decent amount of damage. KSU trying to see if they can find a play, but the Lee Sin going to be instantly obliterated. The bubble landing onto Nunu, but on top of the Blizzard is going to be clearing out all members of IIT, unfortunately, and we're looking at the team ace in favor of KSU. IIT going for a last desperate play there with the Lee Sin insect, but unfortunately not going to be able to pay it out as they're trying to just tank the members. Another wave coming in here shortly within the next 5 seconds, but the death timers on IIT is too long, unfortunately, and we're going to probably be looking at KSU taking game 1 here. And yeah, that'll do it. So KSU here with the first game. We're going to jump really quick here as we have to delay, so both teams are likely waiting for me to finish watching. Doing a quick glance on the grass before I go in. Alawi doing a decent amount of damage, but unfortunately in her lane presence, just not helping out the team. Unfortunately able to get Irelia so many kills, and a lot of misplays there in the top lane. Had to allow KSU to dictate the pace, especially taking advantage of the no TP on Nairelin. Vayne just wasn't able to pop off, unfortunately, and despite even out-damaging Desire, the mid lane and this top lane doing work for KSU as they're able to burst down IIT's comp in this game. So, we're going to be taking ourselves now to game 2 shortly. Looks like both sides are pretty much just waiting for me, unfortunately. But KSU here with the first win of game 1. IIT definitely going to have a lot to learn from that game, and we're going to have to be interested to see, are these 1v1 matchups, and typically when you're facing in these relatively same level games with like diamonds versus diamonds, diamonds and plats versus diamonds and plats, you're not going to see too many 1v1 misplays, but we did unfortunately see a couple of those in the top lane. And then a couple of the team fighting, skirmishing a little bit, kind of IIT kind of on the receiving end of those fights, unfortunately. With Nunu, I saw the Nunu gank that happened in the bot lane. Just only 1 tick of damage would have killed him with the ignite, but able to get himself out safely. Going to be what leads to their victory, KSU's victory for the first game. So, as we look into Game 2, we're going to have to be trying to keep ourselves in mind what does IIT have to offer. In terms of bans, I think those bans were standard. Taking out Silas, taking out Morgana, that's fine. But the Nami Ignite, not really proving itself too much to what I wanted to see in terms of lane effectiveness. And again, it's all about that level 2. Leona with the one of like the deadliest level 2 all-ins in the game. Only one that's equally matched will probably be like Thresh or something. But as we are looking towards our game 2, quick side change. So IIT here will be taking the red side for the game, and Kent will be blue. So blue side advantage. Who knows? But going to be trying to see if IIT is going to be looking at any of the bans from the game 1 that KSU exhibited. And to be fair, like I said, Aurelia is just busted as usual. So, winning out those 1v1s. Nairelin trying his best. Respect to him, though, as he valiantly tried to hold on. Getting it close to some 1v1s, forcing the Aurelia to back off in a couple of those cases. But, again, it's a team game, so winning your lane alone or sustaining your lane isn't going to be enough. Trying to get the rotations. IIT's jungler with Draco, I liked his presence, helping out early game to get some assists, get some kills, helping himself out with a 2-0 lead, I think. But unfortunately, the big misplay was the Swain 2v1 that IIT attempted, taken with the red buff. No backs, I think the Lee Sin hadn't backed yet. Even with the Insect, a nice cleanse from the Swain allowed KSU to outplay that and come out with the advantage on top to take that red buff to sustain himself. So kind of forcing Lissandra into a more passive role. But enough reminiscing about Game 1 as we're going back into the bans. IIT going with the same 3 bans that we saw from Game 1. KSU with the same 3 bans, I believe, as well on the Game 1. The Nunu going to be locked into this time. And IIT's first pick last game was the Nami, but this time we're going to be seeing the Braum come out in favor of that, in favor for IIT. Nunu necessarily I wouldn't say was really too much of a problem in terms of like team fights and whatnot, but he's just always so present. Like if you don't see him, he's going to be eating on something. So in this case, he's munching on IIT's camps and the Dragon consistently, just constantly putting on those buffs for KSU to help himself out, move faster with the Cloud Drake, sustain with the Ocean Drake and whatnot, and his ult being really the only thing that KSU needs to just make IIT scatter for those team fights. The Riven coming out though for the Hawks here, and that's unconventional because I don't think Nairelin plays Riven, but hold on. I've been wrong before. Taking a quick look at the OPGG. It's not going to be used mid lane, is it? Yeah. Season 8, 0 wins, 3 loss. Alright, well hey, it's 5v5, so I don't know. Anything's possible, right? So, KSU though, keeping their ADC open and available with the Urgot top lane. Nunu jungle, Leona support going to be used out again. Braum against Leona, if it all kind of depends on who hits who first, right? Because like if the Braum's on top of the ADC and you can shield any ADC auto attack from it, you're fine. But if you get stunned and then Leona like jumps onto your ADC and you can't get to her fast enough and she gets bursted, especially because it's a Vayne, well, yeah, then you're gonna have those kind of things. But the Heimer coming out here for IIT, and that makes me think that that's gonna be used on Nairelin on the top lane. And we're going to be seeing a Riven mid? I don't know. IIT pulling out all the stops here. I'm not familiar with these champs, but meanwhile, KSU here to respond with Dare, Camille, and J4 bans. IIT with the Swain and Echo. Swain, yeah, not helping out in terms of those, in terms of that mid game to just like press on with his burst damage ability, holding IIT members at bay as they were looking towards the Desperate Baron attempt. So gonna see if that ban That's the only ban that IIT picked in favor of like what happened in game one. So gonna see if it's gonna be able to help pay them back. Keeping ourselves in mind, the Xayah and Leona bot lane coming in again. 2v2 bot lane, I think IIT was able to help hold themselves on their own. Again, only thing to comment on, vision controls essentially it's still very important for IIT to maintain. But I've taken it all back. I believe that's going to be a Riven jungle on Draco Legiendo, and I hope to God that that was intended, because I haven't seen that, but I'm only a lowly plat player, so I don't know anything. Looking at Draco Legiendo, he does actually have a decent amount of, well, he only has one game Season 9 played, but Season 8 coming in also with a 100% win rate. So, hey, the pocket pick secret weapon there could be the solution for IIT. We'll have to see, but keeping ourselves in mind with a quick glance at the summoners, Nairellen going for the Ignite top again against the Urgot TP. Malzahar, instead of what we saw with the Swain cleanse, we're going to be seeing a Malzahar TP. Going to be equally important, especially if they're in the late game, if they just like lock down any one of those big carry figures for IIT, like Vayne, like Yasuo, and KSU is just able to instantly CC lock him down. Not going to be helping it out. So I think IIT's win condition that we're going to be looking here is to try to avoid the 5v5 fights as much as possible. I believe IIT's 2v2 team can come out on top. Protector here on one of his comfort picks here with the Braum, going to be trying to see, and with equipped with the Ignite, I'm more confident on him being able to take on those fights 2v2. Vayne, able to press the advantages when they knew it. When Xayah was isolated, IIT was able to get the 2v1 kill, so they know what they're doing. I just want to make sure that, and mid lane, and then Raynamar being consistent on the Lysandra, not really contributing to too much for, like, not too much in terms of like anything like giving up deaths or anything. She was really useful for locking down the Irelia for the shutdowns, and especially for that tier 2 top hold. So here now on another comfort pick actually here for the Yasuo is going to be exciting as well to see if they can, and he now on the cleanse is going to be really good too, because the Malzahar CC can be cleansed, but the damage won't be, if I'm not mistaken. And then the unconventional pick for the Riven is going to be pretty exciting to see. I have not seen that used traditionally. I don't know how to commentate on how she paths, but going to keep our eyes on it, as Draco is confident in trying to be the playmaker for IIT, as we saw with a couple of those insects, those flash plays, looking flashy. I like it. Riven having an equal amount of kind of like pizzazz with her kit, with the stuns, with the Qs. So going to be exciting. I think, in terms of team comp 5v5, yeah, again, KSU going to be definitely, if we get to the late game, Leona tank, Nunu tank, Urgot tank, they're not going to be able to burst it down fast enough, for sure, especially if you get Xayah where she needs to be. But if IIT is able to press on their advantages, fighting wherever they can, we've seen IIT take advantages within enemy jungles and having the teams collapse. Yasuo wave clear is decent, right? And but Malzahar's is as well, so gonna have to keep that in mind. Heimer, we're not gonna be seeing any more dives that we saw against the Irelia, so Heimer will likely eternally be pushing his lane. Gonna be trying to see if he can you turret block a Nunu snowball is the real question. I think you can, because it pops whenever you hit a minion, right? So treating the turret as an object will probably do it as well. But enough speculating. We've taken ourselves out of the spectate timer, and we're going to be jumping ourselves into game 2 as the KSU Eagles are leading in 1-0. Oh, I should change that as well. Crap. 1-0 Kent State. Alrighty. Let's see what we've got here. Alrighty, I think we're good to go. I think everyone has a skin on IIT side, so we can't lose now. There is no skin advantage loss, right? Um, and yeah, I think Urgot doesn't have a skin either. So hey, we're skin advantage, easy game 2 win, right? IIT now though ready to meet head on. Riven unfortunately walking into a bush unknowingly. KSU pinging it out that they got an idea of what's going on. Queuing herself out immediately there, thankfully. Uh, Good on them to spot her out. Why does Div1 wait here? Why can't you be here and Braum be up here and Yasuo be mid lane? That's what you're supposed to do. As the minions are spawning, we're going to be making sure that we have to keep our eyes on the junglers to see how they progress through as they go through the early game. You know, going to be trying to see if the Riven's going to be invading, if the Nunu's going to be invading. But Kent State again with the traditional ward approach as they're trying to keep in mind of any invades. IIT meanwhile again not placing any of theirs down though. Nice little B-mote synergy going on there for the Vayne as she's celebrating herself with, I believe, the new Lunar skin. So nice plug there. Look at ourselves at the level 1. Yasuo already taking out the Mal's shield and pushing on with his level 1 advantage. Getting a nice Q there on the Mal's, pushing out his advantage there where he can. As we are taking ourselves into the early stages of the game. The ward going to be spotting out the Riven as they have knowledge of where she is now though. A nice E-commit there for KSU. Unfortunately, will not get the 4th tick that they need. A nice Guardian there to get the shield. Leona being really confident with her level 1 play. And again, continuing to press on with that level 2 advantage. Equally important. So keeping ourselves in mind of that. Those dive potential is hovering there though. Leona gonna be roaming herself up, gonna see if she can spot anything out. Put in a safety ward, trying to see if the Riven's gonna be coming in anytime level 3, but she'll be spotted with that scuttler. Nunu here, having just finished his Wolves and Blue, is looking towards his own scuttler. Nothing to comment on too much here, but again, you know, general knowledge, when you reach that 3-minute mark, there could always be a gank coming in mind. I think he just stays just out of vision, but as he starts to put his first snowball, Heimer's got the idea on him, placing a nice little E on top of it, getting him to stop preemptively, but he just munches on that turret whole. Meanwhile, IIT getting pushed up here to their turret, to be expected again, doing what they can. And, you know, he's going to win out on CS advantage because Xayah just can't farm. So let's just go with that. A nice knock up there for the Nunu, but unfortunately he's going to be caught in between, forcing the cleanse, forcing the flash out. It's going to just barely keep it alive with 67 HP to spare. So both summoners already down for the Yasuo in the early game here is going to be really devastating. But Nunu looking for a gank again here, level 3. Is going to land the bubble here, and unfortunately forcing the flash out. Not going to be looking at the first blood here in favor of Urgot, and unfortunately Nunu's bubble going to be able to Nunu's snowball, excuse me, going to get that knockup. And Draco Legendo here as he's trying to see what he can do to contest the aggression of the Nunu jungle as they're continuing to roam all they can. Going to be meeting each other here for the tri-bush, but going to be spotted out by a nice ward place just in time for KSU. IIT, meanwhile, though, still farming safely under the turret. Taking her time as they just reached level 4. And remember, Leona isn't level 4 yet because she roamed a little bit earlier for a couple of wards there. But I don't think with that, even with that like slight experience lead, IIT's really gonna push anything more than that. But seeing themselves safely CS is kind of the intention that we want to be seeing. So Riven gonna be trying to get herself to level 6 as fast as she can, likely. You know, going to be important for the Heimer to try to sustain himself as much as he can, not wanting to lose any more 1v1s than necessary. Getting a nice 4-stack there onto the Leona, a successful Q likely being the cause of it. But we're seeing the pings from the Nunu as he is spotted by the ward, likely looking for that first drag after this Scuttler Scuttler clear. But Riven here with her Warhammer, going to be trying to keep an eye out for it. The sight plant actually not going to be catching them out. Wait, that's a lonely wolf. No, someone get it. It's so alone. But here, as KSU looks for their first dragon, I don't believe they are aware that IIT is present, unfortunately. But the lack of vision, being able to approach it, will likely secure it for them first. But it's going to be important. Can IIT fight after? IIT with about 300 is securing it for themselves here, but Leona here able to get herself in there as they're pushing their advantages where they can, but a lot of damage going to be used, and unfortunately a lot of it kind of misdirected, unfortunately. But Vayne here in a 1v3 situation tried to get herself what she could, but unfortunately couldn't get their damage. And as we're just looking at that, we just saw a 1v1 fight happen with the Yasuo as he takes the full brunt of all of the damage there from the Malzahar. Getting a nice Q on it, but getting the flash and the Malzahar Q on it right after is going to be able to get them that kill. So a good play there for KSU. Unfortunately, IIT not able to collapse onto the dragon fast enough. And one of those things is like they just got to keep in mind the potential for Nunu to clear those camps as fast as possible with his Q available, you know. But meanwhile, IIT having to reset themselves a little bit as we're approaching 7 minutes into the game, having them with about 2k lead, gold advantage here for the Eagles. Vayne here, having not backed yet, is going to be running right into the new snowball, but that's not going to connect as they kind of herald the Braum inside. The shield going to be helping out just a little bit. But level 6 advantage here for the Nunu against a level 5 Riven isn't going to be doing too many favors. And IIT's again kind of going to be having bot lane, going to be having to take the backseat where they can. A nice little Q there to delay the Nunu a little bit more. But as again, KSU establishes their vision here with these control wards, they're aware of where that Riven's going to be, keeping herself into the lane. And Leona doing a good amount of warding here to keep that blue buff in check. IIT now though, going to be trying to see what they can do to continue to sustain themselves into the game. Heimer relatively low on the CS, and definitely Urgot pulling out with a bit of a CS lead here as well. Seeing the fight coming in as IIT attempts their first game, missing out the stun, and another ult from the Malzahar could be deadly as they try to herald the Riven in place, but that's going to be a fallen Riven for sure. Malzahar with his ult coming in 8 seconds, can they hold it out, but might not even need it. Just finishing it off with autos, and IIT, unfortunately, an unsuccessful gank, gets the Malzahar out, and with 2 kills to his name. Pings coming out as KSU know that blue buff is uncontested as Riven is still not level 6. Doing a gank not level 6? What? I guess they were just that desperate. But she'll be able to finally reach level 6 as they're looking at the 4-man dive. Leona with her ult available, not actually landing it onto the Vayne, but getting a nice knockdown. But the CC control is too much for them to take. Getting constantly silence slowed, and 4-man will be another 2 kills there for KSU as they are looking to be unstoppable here. Ping's coming out as they're going to look down to get a decent amount of turret plating down, but finally IIT able to kind of respond in kind with a 1v2 Urgot approach here. Urgot without his ult available, looking like he had already used that earlier, forcing everything they can to just get as much damage as possible. Heimer taken really low, but the ult from Riven actually able to help them out in the end. But KSU again, always looking for the advantage where they can as they are clearing out these turrets. Getting another chunk of turret plating for themselves just at the end of it, as they are going to be doing a nice recall with a good amount of items there likely. Ping's coming out as they do spot, but Urgot with a TP, trying to see what he can do, but no ult for him is going to be able to get him anything. Sorry, just fasting forward so I can just not keep that in mind. So KSU's mid lane and top lane having a decent CS lead here with at least 10 minions there. Yasuo violently slicing and dicing his way through it, getting himself caught back up in CS actually, because the Malzahar should only be able to get like 1 or 2 minions here. But we're seeing the Nunu again continue to press on his advantage by taking these as many camps as possible. Keeping an eye out if there's any IIT members present, and no, getting the knowledge of that, likely going to be going for this Rift Herald first. But actually, take that back. Why not do that when we can get a free Yordle? The Tribush not being warded, forcing the ult to be put down for the Heimer. The Urgot ult missing again there, unfortunately, but not going to be enough though for the Hawks, unfortunately, as they're able to take on the fight here. But looking at IIT, trying to see what they can get here. Getting a nice stun there is going to just barely get her out there. IIT getting a lot done there. One more. Wait. Keep going! Ooh, but unfortunately, you can't dive anymore with IIT's members too low. But never say never, because they could do it. And Snowdown Arcade finally getting himself, well, the kill's going to Riven, unfortunately, but still able to provide decent damage to Leona anyway. Some ganks finally working out in IIT's favor there, but KSU, in the meanwhile, with that knowledge, takes that Rift Herald uncontested. Another 1v1 fight, though, being lost for Raynamar, and chunking himself down really low for the... What? That was it? Oh boy. Alright. No comments there. We're just gonna pretend we didn't see it. So with this back, Vayne should be pretty close to getting the Bork done, at least, I hope. Meanwhile, with the 2 kills on the Heimer, though, as he's just putting his turrets down, trying to get himself the placement that he needs. She's going to be actually a couple of gold off, actually. Not too much, but seeing the Rift Herald being placed here is going to for sure get KSU their first turret of the game. Rift Herald spazzing out a little bit there. Hopefully not getting a second tick, getting it good amount of damage. Trying their best to get it out of the way. And they are able to get the Rift Herald before it looks at its second, but right back at you, KSU, forcing themselves, helping themselves to a free dragon. IIT trying to put themselves with whatever vision that they can. Gonna be able to actually get that one down, but another dive could be likely looked at here for IIT. Ping's coming out, but they know something's coming up. The Nunu getting himself really close to there, but not going to be committing yet for it. Yasuo going to be roaming himself down here too, but no plan to get himself over is likely going to not be in their favor, and KSU knows when to back off as they get themselves back. Nunu staying behind just in case, but likely not going to lead to anything because IIT's already sending themselves back, as Malzahar has a uninhibited wave clear there with his Voidlings and his E to help out. But the pings are coming out. We are seeing them have an idea that this blue buff is spawning. They know something's coming up. Vayne here going first though. Excuse me, the Riven going out here first, and with Malzahar here as well. IIT gonna have to try to see if they can force a collapse here as we're looking at the 3v3 first, but they already instantly take it out as fast as possible, and no MR available on them except for the Braum Merc Treads. It's going to be making it hard for them, but as we're looking at the 1v1, Flash coming in as we're looking at the first 1v1 fight, IIT falling for it, diving itself here for the tower as they're trying to get the Riven. Xayah just able to flash out with a speck of health remaining, and Heimer losing the 1v1. A full wave here is going to let KSU be able to get a decent amount of damage there for the turret for sure. So at this point, all tier 1 turrets have been eliminated for IIT as Urgot finally finished off the top. Tier 2 gone for IIT, and Vayne unfortunately still not without the Bork yet. It's going to be at least a decent amount of gold behind. I forgot what's the button for checking that out. There's like a... I'll find it. I think it's X. Yep, alright. 1200-ish lead there for the Xayah. 3,000 lead for the Malzahar. He's doing work. And about 1,000 for Urgot. So decent amount of gold lead there for KSU as IIT is going to have to try to find any way back into the game. But unfortunately, right, we talked about it earlier in the pick ban phase that IIT's win condition is like they've got to look for 3-man fights and whatnot. But before we could even get to the 3-man fights, unfortunately, IIT losing out the lane matchup itself a couple of times. Surprisingly, seeing it against the Yasuo there, against the Malzahar, counter pick there, I guess. But KSU now 3-man strong, trying to see what they can get here on the tier 2 turret. IIT members trying to see what they can get, but any last-minute desperate plays is going to have to try themselves for it. No snowball are available on the Heimer. RE, maybe? Just try it. But IIT is going to have to make a decision soon as Malzahar constantly is pushing it. And as he's getting his roam down, he's going to be there for the 5v5, which IIT will likely not win. But lack of vision is going to make IIT members walk straight up into the turret, getting a full clear there. IIT's vision control lacking as Malzahar just helps himself right in there. Another tier 2 turret being falling here, and 4 ults I believe available on KSU's side as only the Malzahar's was expended. Leona with hers available for sure, and they could be looking at another dive here. Yasuo being taken super low. KSU getting the dive here as they get the Braum down, forcing the Riven to flash out as she gets her ult, but not able to connect, forcing the Vayne to walk all the way as she's chased out of her own jungle. KSU here, Malzahar flashing in for the kill secure here as they're looking to take down this tier. The final inhib, the first inhib turret of the game, likely going to be following up with an inhib there as they are forcing themselves to get in as close as they can. Finally get some shutdown gold that they desperately need there. Falling down, getting themselves 1,000 there finally in the end, but at what cost as they're looking to trade it for the inhib. Heimer doing what he can to keep themselves at bay, but it's not going to be enough, unfortunately, for the Hawks. As we're looking at about a 10k gold deficit now as they are going to be pushing, KSU going to be pushing their advantage with the Mountain Drake here, and with about a minute 20 seconds left for the Baron to spawn, they'll likely be able to transition themselves right after like this jungle clear. IIT gonna have to try to reset, see what they can do with the 1,000 shutdown gold being put onto the Yasuo, so that's good to be able to get himself some items there, but Vayne going to be getting herself up there in the top lane to try to see what she can get. Adaptive Helm, Stopwatch is going to be a lot of items there to make that Urgot a pretty scary frontliner. And as we're approaching about 30 seconds left, trying to see what the vision that they can establish, but IIT members being packed together Doesn't seem like the best idea. Heimer going to be pushing himself right up there in the front. Going to be facing itself with the Nunu Snowball. Getting a little bit knocked up there from the Baron, but she's going to be just fine. Unfortunately, a lot of damage from that Malzahar Q already half chunks the Heimer. And he doesn't have TP, so if he doesn't back, or if he's not there for that fight, you know, they should want to have those turrets available. But KSU pushing themselves out of the red jungle as they're just too strong to be able to take IT members grouped up, but not having a lot of vision control as KSU is able to put the control wards down where they need to. Leave IIT with unawares of what's going on. Malzahar able to keep all members at bay. Seeing the turrets fall down, IIT finally able to put a control ward down to see that the turret's about halfway down, but Leona and Malzahar, if they don't clear it first, they're going to instantly go into offensive right back. The knockup only landing on the Nunu, but IIT going in slowly for itself, trying to see what they can get as they instantly turn, but IIT, Vayne not able to do enough damage. A nice E from the Heimer, going to be doing a decent amount of damage, forcing the members out, but a flash there from Nunu is going to secure the kill, and we're looking at the Nunu eat himself out of certain death, with the pentakill coming in finally for KSU, and with this, they're looking to end the game. Well played by KSU, keeping good vision control here, choke for IIT, and unfortunately the Hawks will be leaving this at the end of their Collegiate 2019 run here for the game as the KSU Eagles win at a convincingly, oh god, this new spam, at the 21-4, 2-0 win for the Eagles. Yeah, in terms of the game, just really well played stuff. You know, IIT trying to go for some more unconventional picks, trying to see with the comfort picks like the Yasuo, like the Heimer, trying to see if they can win the 1v1 matchups, but unfortunately, even with that in mind, losing out to 1v1, and then on top of the team composition advantage that KSU has, unfortunately, led to a relatively quick game. And yeah, MVP going out to Malzahar, able to just constantly get so much gold by pushing up his lanes, getting a couple of those 1v1 kills on the Yasuo especially. The Hawks, unfortunately, unable to kind of get any advantages within the game where they needed to. I liked some of the action that we saw in the top lane with the Riven and Urgot and the Nunu and the Heimer, but after that kind of early game phase, once Urgot finishing up that adaptive helm or whatever that MR item is, to get himself the MR that he needs to just be able to take off that damage. And again, the damage harass isn't going to be doing too many favors for, even with like Nunu turrets. I mean, Heimer turrets. Nunu eating the turret right up, even with the ignite, going to be able to keeping himself healthy relatively throughout the game. 2v2 matchup, the bot lane. You know, it's forcing IIT to play a passive role in that, right? Unless they get a level 2 advantage to force themselves to try to go for the fight. But as we saw, level 2 KSU instantly aware of it, pushing themselves right up in the front, forcing IIT to back out. So kind of leaving it up to the junglers and the top lanes and the mid lane to fight it all out. But as we saw in the early game, Draco pathing himself with the, I believe, red buff first, and the Scuttler going to kind of be in behind for some of those kills that we needed to have them happen. And as we saw, kind of like the vision control consistently good for the KSU Eagles as they're able to board up their river pretty nicely, keeping in mind of when the Riven's coming in for her buffs and whatnot. And then IIT, meanwhile, in the vision control, lacking at some points where especially we saw a couple of freebie kills being given up. First one coming into mind was the one on the Heimer at the tier 2 mid turret. You know, having them just rounded up in that corner and not having the due diligence to put a control ward there as they're seeing the Mal come up top, I think was just catching the Hawks unawares, unfortunately. But that will be doing it for us today. So Kent State with the 2-0 victory, able to have them continue their playoff dreams. And unfortunately here for the Hawks, with this being their second loss will mean that they will not be able to move forward within the North Conference for 2019. So, GG's to KSU. Well played for IIT, as they will have to be moving on the next few weeks. Likely still playing out the matches, but will not have the chance to move on through the North Conference. So that'll do it for us today. My name is Elvin, also known as Epoxy. Feel free to follow us on social media, Twitter at IIT Esports, Facebook IIT Esports, Discord.gg/Illinois Tech Esports. As we try to do our best to do some coverage of how our esports teams are doing, like the League of Legends teams, like our Overwatch teams, with the casting and whatnot. Definitely follow us on our YouTube channel, as we're trying to just continue to push out more content there, so we can give the recognition that these guys deserve, as they're putting in the time and practice that they need for their respective games. But unfortunately for today, not seeing IIT come out with the victory, but that will be doing it for us here on this Saturday afternoon. So with that, Elvin Moore signing off. Thanks for watching, everyone.